Good morning, dear students. Today we are going to study about the microbiology of milk and food. Microbiology of milk. Milk provide a favorable environment for the growth of microorganisms. Yeast, mold and a broad spectrum of bacteria can grow in milk, particularly at a temperature above 16 degrees Celsius. Microbes can enter the milk via the cow, air, feedstuffs, milk handling equipment and the milker. Once microorganisms get into the milk, their number increases rapidly. The initial bacterial count of the milk may range from less than 1000 cells per ml to 10 raised to 6 per ml. Counts more than 10 raised to 5 per ml are evidence of poor production hygienic. So as we know that milk is a very good nutritive food. It is a complete food, so it favors the growth of a lot of microorganisms like yeast, mold and a lot of bacteria, and the temperature preference of this microorganism is above 16 degrees Celsius, and the milk get contaminated with the microbes through at the time from the milk cow itself, that is from the udder of the cow. If the cow is not in a hygienic condition, from the udder of the cow itself the milk get contaminated with microbes. From the air, microbes get into the milk. From the feed stuffs that we are used for feeding the cow, from the feed stuffs the microorganisms get contaminated with the milk. Then the milk handling equipment, that is the container that is used for holding the milk, as well as from the hands of the milker, every possibility that the milk can get contaminated. And once the microorganism get into the milk, as it is a good food, their number increases very rapidly, and the initial bacterial count will be from 1000 cells per ml to 10 raised to 6 cells per ml. So count more than 10 raised to 5 cells per ml, it is an evidence for the poor unhygienic conditions in which this milk is being treated. Then this is a list of bacteria that is commonly seen in milk and effect of this bacteria on the milk. So the bacteria Pseudomonas, it is causing spoilage of the milk. Brucella, it is a very pathogenic bacteria which is causing brucellosis. Then Enterobacteriaceae, it is pathogenic and it also causes spoilage of milk. Then Staphylococcus aureus, it is again pathogenic. Staphylococcus thermophilus, it is an acid fermenting bacteria. Staphylococcus lactis, it is also acid fermenting bacteria. That means it will ferment lactic acid. Then Lactobacillus lactis, Lactobacillus bulgaris, Lactobacillus acidophilus and Propionibacterium, they are all acid fermenting bacteria, result in the production of acid from the milk. So these bacteria, they will deteriorate the quality of the milk. Next is microbial growth control. How we can control the microorganism in the milk. Microbial growth can be controlled by cooling the milk. So we have to cool the milk, and the most microorganisms, they reproduce slowly in colder environment. So at a freezing temperature or at a below 16 degrees Celsius, most of the microorganisms will reproduce very slowly. So this low temperature, it also slow down the chemical deterioration that is taking place naturally in the milk. The temperature of a freshly drawn milk is about 38 degrees Celsius, and bacteria multiply very rapidly in warm milk. And the milk sour rapidly if we held at this temperature. Cooling the milk with a running water will reduce the temperature to 16 degrees Celsius after 1 hour. So 38 degrees Celsius is the temperature of the fresh milk that is drawn from the udder of the cow. And the bacteria, they prefer that temperature and they will multiply very rapidly in this temperature. And as bacteria number increases, the milk get sour, that is curd will be formed at this temperature. So cooling the milk with running water, it will helps to decrease the temperature from 38 degrees Celsius to 16 degrees Celsius within an hour. And in such a reduced temperature, bacterial growth, it will be retarded, and the enzyme activity also get reduced. So one of the way to reduce the microbial growth in milk is to reduce the temperature of the milk either by refrigerating or either by adding water into the milk. Then advantages of bacteria in milk. So we have seen the disadvantages or the deleterious effect of the microorganism present in the milk, and we have also seen how to control the microbial load in milk. Then now we move on to the advantages of bacteria in milk. Natural storing of milk may be advantageous. Natural storing means we know that milk already contains lactobacillus. So if milk is kept for a long time, the lactobacillus number will increase and it will convert the lactose into lactic acid. So the acid developed assists in the extraction of fat during churning, that is butter making. So this acid formation, it will helps in the formation of butter. The low pH retard growth of lipolytic as well as proteolytic bacteria, therefore protect the fat and protein in the milk. So this acid formation, it reduces the pH and it will reduce the growth of lipolytic as well as proteolytic bacteria and protect the fat and protein that is present in the milk. Acidity of the milk also inhibit the growth of pathogens, and the acidity or the curd formation, it will prevent the formation or the growth of pathogens in the milk. And this naturally soured milk, it can be used to produce many products like yogurt, sour cream, ripened buttermilk, cheese, etc. So from the naturally curd forming milk, we can produce good quality yogurt, sour cream, ripened buttermilk, cheese, etc. And these products provide ways of preserving milk and are also pleasant to consume. So they are very good in quality, and they are produced by the action of fermentative bacteria on lactose and are more readily digested than fresh milk. So these milk products, that is naturally souring of milk products, they are very good to consume, as well as they are having readily digestible fat content than fresh milk, than those present in fresh milk. So the bacteria that is present in the milk can naturally ferment that milk to form lactic acid, and this presence of lactic acid in the milk, it will reduce or retard the growth of harmful pathogens and lipolytic and proteolytic bacteria that will destroy the fat as well as protein content of the milk. So the this lactobacillus bacteria will protect the milk from getting damaged by this unwanted microorganism, and it also helps in the formation of natural milk products like yogurt, sour cream, ripened buttermilk and cheese, and they are very pleasant to consume and they have easily digested food when compared to that of the fresh milk. Next is effect of pasteurization on milk. So in the last class we have already seen what is pasteurization, what are the different types of pasteurization. So pasteurization, it will reduces the cream layer since some of the fat globule membrane constituents are denatured. So it reduces the cream layer formation in the milk. Pasteurization reduces the cream layer formation in the milk, but it does not reduce the fat content of the milk. It does not alter the nutritive value of the milk, but some vitamin C and B group vitamins get lost during pasteurization, and it kill many fermentative microorganisms as well as pathogens, but still contain thermophilic bacteria. We know that pathogens, they are all eosinophilic microorganisms. They get killed at 37 degrees Celsius or below 40 degrees Celsius. So but when we are applying only 62 degrees Celsius, thermophilic bacteria can still survive in that pasteurized milk. That means that pasteurized milk is not sterilized milk. It is not so hygienic. It still contains microorganisms. So it should be properly boiled before using. Pasteurized milk has a storage stability of 2 to 3 days, and subsequent deterioration is caused by putrefactive organisms. So pasteurized milk can be stored for 2 to 3 days. After that, it will be destroyed by putrefactive organism. So the effect of pasteurization is that it reduces the cream layer of the milk, but it does not reduces the fat content or nutritive value, but some vitamin C and B vitamins get lost due to fermentation, because due to pasteurization, because we are heating to a certain degree Celsius, which will eliminate the vitamin C as well as some vitamin B groups. And these fermented organisms get killed, but still thermophilic microorganisms will be present in the pasteurized milk. Then microbiology of butter. Butter is another product that we obtain from milk, and it is made as a means of extracting and preserving milk fat. In addition to the bacteria present in milk, butter may also contain the additional amount of bacteria that can be get into the milk or get into the butter through equipments, wash water, air contamination, packing materials, and personnel. So from those who are handling the butter or the milk, from the packing materials that we are using, or from the air or from the water that we are used for preparing this butter, or by the equipment we are using, more microorganisms can get into the butter when compared to that of milk. So salting it effectively control bacterial growth in butter. So we have to apply a little amount of salt to improve the keeping quality of the butter to reduce the bacterial growth. So salt concentration of 2% is very good, and it will be adequately dispersed in butter. So if we are adding a 2% salt to butter, it will get dispersed in butter in a normal way, and it is highly preservative. It acts as a preservative to reduce the bacterial count in butter. Next is microorganism in food production. So we have seen how the role of microorganism in spoilage as well as in preserving as well as in production of various dairy products. Now we are focusing on the microorganisms in food production other than this milk. Nature uses microorganisms to carry out fermentation process. For thousands of years, mankind has used yeast, mold, and bacteria to make food products such as bread, beer, wine, vinegar, yogurt, cheese, as well as fermented fish, meat, and vegetables. So, in addition to dairy products, we are using these microorganisms for more than thousands of years, and for the production of bread, beer, wine, vinegar, then fermented fish, meat, and vegetables. So we are depending these microbes for from a long back history for the preservation as well as the production of so many food products. More than 3,500 traditionally fermented food exist in the world. So with the help of microorganisms, we are preparing almost 3,500 types of fermented food. They are animal or vegetable origin, and they include alcoholic drinks, cocoa beans, coffee grains, and tea leaves. They are fermented after harvest in order to develop their typical flavor. So alcoholic drinks, all type of alcoholic drinks are prepared from this microorganism. Then also so many types of acid like acetic acid, then lactic acid, citric acid. So many kind of organic solvents and acids are produced from microorganism. Then cocoa beans. It is a natural fruit, but it is been fermented to get the flavor and taste. And coffee grains, they are also fermented, as well as tea leaves are also fermented after their harvest in order to get the texture and the flavor that is having in them. Next is role of bacteria. Bacteria, mold and yeast, they are most common microorganisms that cause food spoilage, and they are responsible for food spoilage as well as they found maximum exploitation in the production of food and food products. So these microorganisms, they can cause food spoilage also, and they also help in the preservation of the food as well as the production of a lot of food. Then different strains of bacteria and fungi are used for the fermentation of dairy products, for the production of wide variety of cultured milk products. Both bacteria and fungi are used in these cheese production processes. And lactic acid bacteria, they are used for the coagulation of the milk that can be processed to yield a wide variety of cheeses, including soft, unripened, soft, ripened, semi-soft, hard and very hard type. So lactic acid bacteria, it is commonly used for the production of a wide range of cheeses, including soft unripened cheese, soft ripened cheese, then semi-soft cheese, hard cheese and very hard type cheese. And then this Streptococcus thermophilus and Lactobacillus bulgaris, they are used to produce yogurt. And spirulina and cyanobacteria, it is a popular food source. That these two are single cell proteins, so they are not associated with dairy. They can be directly consumed as food. Just like yeast, we can directly consume yeast as a single cell protein. Likewise, we can consume spirulina and cyanobacteria as a food supplement. So bacteria, they are used in a wide variety of purposes. Example, lactic acid bacteria, Lactobacillus bulgaris, then Streptococcus thermophilus, then spirulina, cyanobacteria. The first two, they are used in dairy industry, and the second and the third, that is third and the fourth, spirulina and cyanobacteria, they are single cell protein, they are used as food supplements. Next is yeast and bacteria. Already I have mentioned bacteria. Next is yeast. Mold, they are used for rotting of grapes for the production of different varieties of wine. And mushroom, Agaricus bisporus, they are most common fungi that is used as a food source. So mushrooms, it is a most favorite food source for a lot of people, and so it is a healthy food. It is rich of protein and fibers, and very low fat content and carbohydrate content. So it is advisable to use mushrooms to all sort of people. And yeast have a ability to ferment sugars to ethanol and carbon dioxide. So they are widely used in food industry. And most commonly used yeast is baker's yeast, and along with baker's yeast, Saccharomyces caelbergensis is also commonly used for the production of beer. So yeast, it is used directly as a food source. That is, yeast is also a single cell protein. Then it is used in wine production, then beer production, then bread making industry, then that is baker's yeast. So many cakes and candies are prepared using this yeast, and they are used to production of ethanol. Then use of microbes. Microbes are not only it will not only give taste but texture and smell to food, but also produce certain inhibitory compounds that help in stopping food spoilage. So microbes, they are used to give good taste to food. They are used to give good texture and smell to food. In addition to that, microorganisms produce certain inhibitory compounds that helps the growth of other spoilage microorganisms in this food. Thus, it increases the storage and safety of the food. Lactobacillus, it is an important bacterial species which is used in production of a wide variety of food that requires lactic acid fermentation, especially in dairy industry. Then it is also used in fermented vegetables like olives, pickles, sorghum, and fermented meat, that is salami. Salami is a fermented meat and sourdough bread. So these are some of the uses of microbes in food industry. So that is all for today's class. Thank you.